Hey after legal warriors, in this video I want to try to help you avoid pain. And I'm going to do it by talking about one of the biggest pain-causing false beliefs clients have in the criminal defense system. And that belief has to do with how the prosecutor operates, how the prosecutor thinks, and what's important to the prosecutor in deciding, for the most part, outcomes of cases absent a trial. So if you're interested in this area of the law, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Lynnwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington state for more than 20 years. So if you find this video useful, please like and please subscribe. More people will get to see it and therefore get the help that they need. Now I'm just going to jump right into it. I said at the opening that this video is trying to help people avoid pain. And I noticed a pattern in several of my clients over the past 30 to 60 days. I still represent lots and lots of clients, and I do lots and lots of interviews of people. And for the most part, my clients that suffer the most while a case is going on, they often try to ascribe their own version of logic to why a prosecutor should do something, why a prosecutor shouldn't do something. Because let's face it, for the most important person in the courtroom typically is the prosecuting attorney. They have the power to bring the case. They have the power to drop the case. They have the power to change the case because they're representing the government. And I know a lot about that power because the first 7 years of my career, I was a prosecutor. Remember, I did my first jury trial when I was 24 years old. I prosecuted for 7 years. And one of the most important benefits I got as a prosecutor, besides experience, is I got to sort of be the one who made decisions. You know, there was a feeling of power and the ability to do good, to make decisions about discretion, what was important to me in the role of the person representing the government, because prosecutors, for the most part, have a lot of leeway. So why does misperceiving the role of the prosecutor cause people pain? Well, because people are anxious. They think things like, well, the prosecutor just has some better things to do. Or why are they even bothering with this case? Well, no, the prosecutor's going to think that this is not that big a deal, right? I have no record. They shouldn't care. The prosecutor's just trying to, mark notches on his or her belt. They're trying to get me no matter what. So all these are false beliefs or misperceptions about how the client thinks a prosecutor may work. A prosecutor's role is misunderstood. And so I'm going to now describe what I think, how varied prosecutors' motivations are. So a prosecutor's job is not to convict people. A prosecutor's job is not to let people go. A prosecutor's job is to do justice. And justice is in the eye of the beholder. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, justice is also in the eye of the beholder. That's why the criminal system is a pretty difficult place to work, because we're dealing with morals. We're dealing with people's experiences. We're dealing with different backgrounds and different cultures. And so when a client says a prosecutor has something better to do, no, they don't. Their job is to respond to the case. And I want people out there to understand about the caseload that is on prosecutors means they are certain things and they're not certain things. What they are is a very busy legal professional looking out for themselves, looking out for their own version of justice, and looking out for trying to have some semblance of work and life, and that balance word, by deciding who they hold the line against, who they're more lenient with. The weird thing about a prosecuting attorney job is it's one of the few jobs where you can lessen your workload by making more lenient decisions. Right? You can play a real stickler and want to convict everybody to the fullest extent of the law, but then you would never go home. Right? You would be working 20 hours a day. So those are some of the things a prosecutor are. Some of the things a prosecutor is not is they are not the arbiter of fact. They are not the decider of what really happened. Right? They are not positioned to dive deeply into every case. They're human. They're not machines, and they're under a huge amount of stress. And that's why when we're dealing with how we understand what motivates a prosecutor, when we can understand what motivates them, we're more likely to secure a result that is favorable to the client. But what you have to remember is each prosecutor is uniquely different, as is each human being on this earth. That's why you need to not just ascribe generalizations to what prosecutors do and don't do. If you have a good defense attorney who has a lot of data, that is, a firm that has been successful enough to have a lot of cases and therefore a lot of experience and a lot of really good results, there's a good chance that your lawyer in that firm is going to have some read on what type of person and what's important to the particular prosecutor that might be deciding things in your case. For the most part, we're going to know who the prosecutor is in each case. And for the most part, we're going to have some idea of what's important to them. And I'll say what was important to me when I was a prosecutor. When I was a prosecutor, I was a 24-year-old kid. I didn't have much experience, didn't have much life experience. And, there were certain cases that got me more upset just due to the way I was built, right? If someone did graffiti tagging something, I would be way harder on that type of case than maybe another prosecutor might do. If someone did a vehicle prowl and therefore victimized someone's most valuable possession for the most part, right? If we live in an apartment, we don't have a house, that car of ours, that's personal to us. When someone breaks into it, that causes a lot of emotional trauma, at least in my perspective, it did. From my life experiences, it did, as those things had happened to my loved ones. So as a prosecutor, I might treat that case more harshly than another prosecutor. And if a defense attorney knew that, right, about me as a prosecutor, they might approach it a bit differently, acknowledging the severity of the action, therefore not, trying to stir up my oppositional reflex to go at that case in a more harsh or aggressive manner. And so that's just an example of how things can work differently with prosecutors. Another thing is when a defense attorney came to me and wanted to talk about the fact pattern of the case, I was too busy to care about the fact pattern. I wanted to know what the attorney was doing to help the client. And that doesn't mean I was totally altruistic, but, I did care about that. But when I had 100 cases, the defense attorney has the one case. I don't care about every little detail in there. I don't have the mental room, right? The energy to have every detail of every case memorized. And so that defense attorney really wasted an opportunity to talk to me as a prosecutor if they got into details that I didn't really care about at the time, at that stage of negotiations, at pre-trial stages. And so if you have an attorney, hopefully that attorney has some idea of what's important to that particular prosecutor. So what is motivating prosecutor decisions? Well, it depends on the prosecutor. If they have supervisors, it may be fear of what the supervisor may say about an outcome. If they don't have supervisors, they could be motivated by all different types of things. Number one is their caseload, right? How many cases do they have? How many cases can they be really harsh on? Two can be their own personal experience and values. Maybe they think treatment is more important than jail from their experience. Maybe they don't think jail is a good helper of society for most crimes because it leaves people without jobs, leaves people scarred, when maybe they would think a better approach as a prosecutor is to make people do treatment so they're less likely to reoffend and they're more likely to learn something from the crisis. Right? Maybe they're motivated by a feeling of protecting people. Maybe that they really want to protect people and therefore they focus on that part of things. Maybe they're just not emotionally intelligent and they just want to crush people because this is a power game for them, right? Those types of prosecutors exist too. So when you go into a case saying, well, the prosecutor X or the prosecutor Y, you're just wasting your time. You're causing yourself anxiety. You don't know anything about the prosecutor if you're a client, at least I hope you don't. And your attorney knows a little from experience, and still everyone is different. So just remember, it's the prosecutor's job to do justice, not to crush you, not to let you go. It's their job to do justice. How they do that is up to them, and it's up to your attorneys, hopefully, to work with the prosecutor so we can get a result that we need while the prosecutor can get what he or she needs out of the case for their own purposes mentally as well. Because when the criminal system works well, everybody wins, right? We get a result that makes sense for the client. Society gets a result that makes sense for society. And hopefully, on the other side, everybody could come out better than when we left them. So that's what I have to say. Please, please, please do not put things on prosecutors. They're doing a good job. They're trying to do what's right, and your attorney will know how best to try to situate your situation and case to get you that good result that you want and deserve. If you find this video useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More importantly, if you have a legal problem in Washington State, if it's a criminal matter, feel free to reach out to my firm. If we get on board, we'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.